For more debates, updates, and bonus content, sign up at thebigconversation.show. What about you, Graham? I mean, I know this makes it personal in that way, but do you feel like you could be persuaded by a really great argument, or would it take some kind of experience that just was somehow undeniable in your personal psychology or whatever to kind of shift you towards theism?
So that's a really difficult question, right? I mean, at this point, people often, think about Hume talking about in the dialogues about the voice in the sky. So people ask, what would it take? And the answer is, I have no idea, right? I mean, I don't see that something like that, a voice that speaks to everybody in their language, right? That's just not in the cards for, our world, right?
Yeah.
So, and even on most Christian stories, that's not on the cards, right?
But if you did have, because this is the interesting thing. Okay, I did a conversation with Peter Atkins, who you may be familiar with, the Oxford chemist, who's a very different kind of atheist to you. Let's put it that way, Graham. And when I asked him what could persuade you, he genuinely struggled to think of anything that could move him from atheism to even slight belief in God, because even something like Jesus appearing to him in a vision in front of him, he said, well, I would just assume my brain had malfunctioned. He was so committed in a sense to naturalism that every kind of experience he ever had that someone else might attribute to God, he said, I would have to assume, my naturalism comes first, something, there's going to be some explanation. I could never consider the divine one in that sense. I mean, now I'm not saying that's your perspective, of course, but I'm saying where's the kind of, where's that point for you at which you would say, yeah, if that happened, I think I'd be pretty convinced that maybe there is a God after all.
So I guess I'm inclined to think about this somewhat differently. I mean, I've read a bit about conversion stories in both directions, and there's all kinds of ways that you can end up being led to change your beliefs and it can be a bit like with Guillaume, accumulation of small things, right? That leads you from one position to another. And I just don't think that we're in a position, like I've been in a position to think about, what would it take? What accumulation of small things would it take to shift me from where I am to somewhere else, to shift me from being atheist to agnostic, say? What would that take? And I really just think that we're not very good at thinking about those kinds of things. We just kind of don't have a very good capacity for answering those questions. I'm not going to go the way that you said that Peter Atkins went, though I do think, given how old I am, that it's kind of unlikely, and how much time I've spent looking at the arguments, it's unlikely that an argument's going to come along. I don't think that we sort of come up with new arguments and sort of devastating new arguments so rapidly that there's going to be an argument that's going to make me change my mind. But even there, of course, that's the epistemic possibility, right? I mean, I say this about all the arguments. When my claim about the kind of lack of persuasiveness of the arguments is also qualified by of all the arguments that we've seen so far.
Yeah. Guillaume, just your thoughts on.
I agree that the likelihood that something fundamentally new in the arguments appears and convinces Graham is low. I think that the probability is fairly low there. What it would take to change his mind, given how old I am, I would say, yeah, perhaps it's very improbable. Thankfully, the God that I'm trying to depict in my book is a God who brings about the very improbable. And so I'm not losing hope that something might happen. But apparently my prayers that this show would be cancelled because Graham came with a different opinion has not been fulfilled so far.